There's a new Christopher Nolan film. Everybody loves it. What a surprise! So Christopher Nolan's newest film, Dunkirk, is now out in cinemas. It is the story of these soldiers, like on a beach in Dunkirk, set during the war, and they have no way of getting back, so they have to wait for help. But at the same time, they're being bombed and killed, and they just have to try and survive the day, I guess. And that's the plot of the movie, and I was surprised to find out that this movie is very short for a Nolan film. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, and most Nolan films are like 3 hours. I mean, his last film that came out was Interstellar, and that was a long film. A great film, but so long. It was almost like it was an effort to get through, even though I really enjoyed it, but you know what I mean. So Dunkirk is very short for a Nolan film, and I am very glad it is, because it's a sort of film that could get boring quite quickly. I'm not saying it is boring, I'm just saying if it were any longer, I think it would have been, because there's not much. I mean, there's a story to tell, but there's not much to tell in terms of a film. It's an interesting story, and I care about the story. It's a very like close to the heart story, but you know what I'm saying. So with Dunkirk, I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't really excited for this one. I was anticipating it because I like all of the Nolan films I've seen. Love the Dark Knight trilogy, love Interstellar, love Inception. So I was like, yeah, I'm pumped for this movie, but I'm not excited because none of the trailers gripped me. And I must say, the film never gripped me as much as I wanted it to. And that's a shame because the movie starts off really well. You know, I was proper into it. I was like, okay, this is really good. It ends really well. By the end, I was like, okay, that was a great ending. In the middle, it does drag. And I said it's a very short movie for a Nolan film. Still drags a bit, and that was a bit of a shame because I felt like this could have been, really well done. And whilst it is, it looks great. The visuals are amazing. The action scenes are really good. There are just scenes that go by where I just sort of lost interest a bit because there are people in this film, there's characters in this film that aren't developed at all, really. You don't know anything about them. There's no backstory. They're just there. And it makes sense because this was a true story. These are real people in this film. So it makes sense that we don't really know much about them, but I kind of wish maybe they'd thrown in a little bit of backstory or like, I have a family or something, but there's never really anything there. You don't really know if these people have a family apart from Mark Rylance's character, he does, and he was really good in this film. Like, the actors are great. This is Harry Styles' acting debut, I think, from One Direction, and I went in thinking, Harry Styles is in this movie, I'm probably not going to enjoy that. And he really did give one of the better performances. He was really good. There's not much dialogue in this film, there's not much talking, but Harry Styles has quite a lot of it. And he really was a good presence on screen. I loved seeing him acting in this film, and I kind of hope he does more because, it's a very good acting debut for him. You've also got Tom Hardy, and he really just spends a lot of the time in a plane, not doing much, but he was a good presence to have. You've got Cillian Murphy, who, again, doesn't really do much. All these characters get put into the film. It's like set in three sort of different stages. You've got the sky with Tom Hardy's character. You've got the sea, I guess, with they have the things come up on the screen anyway with Mark Rylance and Cillian Murphy, and then you've got like the beach and the survival with the other main characters. The main character, no idea what his name is. That's the thing, I don't really know the names of any of the characters. I feel like they didn't even have names because I swear nobody ever says another character's name in the film. And that's what I mean, because I know these people existed and I know the story now, but I don't know who the people are, and that was kind of a shame. That was kind of a missed opportunity. There's points in this film, there's a certain character, I won't mention which one, but you're just waiting the whole film thinking, he's going to die, this character's definitely going to die, and I like the way they went with the character, because by the end, he doesn't die, and the way they go about doing his thing that he does, it's like, okay, I really like that. I'm glad that they didn't just go for the typical thing. I mean, obviously they couldn't go for the typical things, it didn't happen in real life. That's the thing with a true story, you have to stick to the material, and if that material doesn't have much to go by, then your film doesn't have much to go by. But I'm not saying this film's entirely bad at all. I'm not saying it is bad at all, because there are like action sequences that do take place. This film isn't very heavy on the action. It's heavy on more of the drama. But when the action takes place, you're really into it. I loved seeing all the sky things. I didn't see this in IMAX, but I feel like if you do see it in IMAX, it'll be a real treat to watch, because it's definitely worth paying the extra for if you're going for spectacle. So yeah, I mean, if you've seen it in IMAX, let me know what that's like, because I imagine that's really great. But, it is probably the weakest of the Nolan films I've seen. I haven't seen every Nolan film, so, this could be great compared to some of them. But out of all the Nolan films I've seen, this is probably one of the weaker ones. And I feel like, yeah, it deserves the ratings it's getting, I suppose, and it deserves its praise. but it needs praise where praise is due, and giving it praise for everything I feel like isn't as deserved as it should be. So as it stands, Dunkirk isn't really near the top of my best films of the year, to be honest. I've seen much better this year. But I did have a good time watching Dunkirk. I did enjoy the performances, and I liked the story at points. I just feel like through the middle, they could have cut some out and made it like an hour and a half, because it's about an hour and 46 minutes. And there are things you could have just taken out a little bit. But thinking about it, it's like, what parts could you trim to make sense? So I guess being as long as it is makes sense. It's just, I guess there's not much you can do about the pacing in that sense, because, you know, you're always going to have problems like that. But overall, I thought Dunkirk was a good movie, but nothing more than that. I'm sad that it wasn't a great movie in my opinion. I wish it was, but I would say it's a good movie, and it's definitely worth watching on the big screen, because that's the thing. There are films that are made for the big screen. I would definitely say that Dunkirk is made for the big screen. You know, there's intense moments, characters in peril, and things like that. It really does get intense, and you know, towards the end, there's a scene that happens. It's the scene I mentioned before, which obviously I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to spoil, but the intensity really gets driven up. The score of this film's really good, so the score really plays into that intensity, and you're just sitting there thinking, yeah, this film's really picking up. But unfortunately, by the time the film really picks up, it has to end, because that's the end of the film. So that was a bit of a shame that they didn't pick up a little earlier. But yeah, like I said, I like Dunkirk, but I definitely didn't love the film. So let me know what you thought of Dunkirk if you've seen it yet. Comment below. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye.